We Live in Time was a criminally underappreciated movie of 2024, and I would love to talk about what made this film so special for me when I saw it. So, yeah, if you don't know me, my name is Sharon. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Here, I love to talk about movies from a very personal standpoint and also TV shows, which I will be uploading more videos of that in the coming weeks. So thank you for joining me. And the topic of today's video is We Live in Time, which is a film that came out in 2024. And just a few facts on it. It was directed by John Crawley and written by Nick Payne, and it stars the wonderful and brilliant Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. And they play the couple Almut and Tobias, who meet in very interesting and quirky meet cute circumstances. So I won't go too much into detail about the plot of the film, the scenario, and the synopsis. You can go ahead and have a look at that yourself. I think this is probably more for people who have seen the film already and who would love to discourse around it. So this review or discussion will contain spoilers, okay? So if you haven't seen the film, please go and check it out, and then you can come back to the video. And just as a very quick reference, actually something that I learned very recently was that the director of this film also directed Brooklyn, which came out in 2015, and that had Saoirse Ronan, probably not saying her name correctly, but that was again a really, really beautiful film that touched me, and I may actually do a video on that. And that explained why I really, really resonated with We Live in Time. So that's a cheeky reference for you. So again, I won't go too much into the plot, but I just wanted to start by acknowledging the main point, I think, in my video regarding this film of the character Almut, played by Florence Pugh, and the nature of her character. So, of course, she is diagnosed with essentially a terminal cancer, because there's lots of complications regarding, I think, her treatment. She essentially obviously chooses to not continue with treatment and to live the last few months or a year of her life as best as she can, rather than going through an arduous process of treatment, which may or may not work. And my favorite thing about this was how this film was really about, it really was not necessarily about her terminal diagnosis, but her story of who she was as a woman. And I think what really triggered me to discuss this was a scene that you probably know what I'm talking about when I reiterate this, that really stuck out to me, where Almut was speaking about how she does not want to be remembered only as, oh dear, the sun is kind of getting in the way. But she doesn't want to be remembered only as her daughter's mother only, but she wants her daughter to remember her as a hero, as this woman who was driven and had her own dreams and passions and pursuits. She didn't want to be remembered as you know, the mother, the dead mother. So her character says, the woman who died, you know, she wanted her daughter to remember her as so much more than that. And I think that was incredibly beautiful, and that to me really made me think about the woman's story being more than just her traditional roles of, you know, being a wife, being a mother, which are both extremely important roles to play. But as we know in the film, Florence Pugh's character was a renowned chef. She had passions, business owning passions, you know, pursuing her art through food. She had full of life. She was full of life, sorry. And she had just a deep need to make her mark in the world, even before her terminal diagnosis. And I think her terminal diagnosis just drove more of that need and passion. And I absolutely loved that the writing in this film insisted on us seeing her as a whole person, as a complex, multi-layered woman who was not only defined by her roles as a mother and a wife. And I think the film was more about her self-actualization after this diagnosis, rather than just the gap she was going to leave behind as someone's wife or mother or daughter. And that was just so juicy and so beautiful. And that feels quite different from a lot of other stories that we see in the media about women and people who have to go through terminal illness. I mean, I'm sure it's a really complex and layered situation to be in. I can only imagine. But I just really loved how this film drove home that Almut, Florence Pugh's character, was determined to fulfill her dreams, and that being a mother and a daughter and a wife, sorry, was just one facet of who she was, and that she wanted to be remembered for more. And I think that was really touching and quite nuanced, and I love how they discussed that as well. And you know, this is not to undermine who she was as a mother by any means at all, and this is not about taking that part away for women. But I think that especially in this current era of returning back to the zeitgeist, being going back to maybe traditional forms of living, you know, with traditional masculinity and femininity and all of that discourse that is going around. You know, in some ways I feel maybe some people want to turn the clock back to 1952, but that's a topic for another day. But I think we're losing the I guess the essence of what it is to be a modern day woman, which is the ability to choose and the importance of being seen as more than just the roles that are traditionally prescribed to you in society. And those roles are important. And I speak as someone who does not have children yet, but I always say I already love the kids that I don't even have yet. I already love those children and they're not here yet. But I know that, you know, as a woman, we are allowed to be more than one thing, and all those things are equally valuable, and that our ultimate value is not just in our traditional roles. Like, there's more to us, and that's what this film drove home, and I thought that was really beautiful. Something else, sorry, we're still having this sun situation, but I think it's all right. I think I just want to make these videos nice and raw and not perfect. Yeah, that's the way it is. So another thing that I noted down here as well was the way that they showed this terminal illness process for this couple. And I think the writing made it less about the grit of the illness and made it more about the journey of Almut and her self-actualization and how she wanted to be remembered, rather than her succumsion to this terminal illness. So it was less about the grit of the experience of the illness, but more about her as a person. And I think that really showed in the film. And it did show us her power and her grit and being remembered as more than the sick mother, which she did say that a lot. She said, I don't want to just be the sick mother. I want my daughter to know that I had a fighting chance all the way to the end. And I thought that was really, really lovely, and kind of something that we don't see a lot in films where we're dealing with such heavy subject matter. And I loved the way that they looked at that there. I thought the film had really beautiful, funny moments. It was very layered. It was refreshing. It felt very real. It felt very realistic. It felt very grounded, and I think that really was what was so touching for me. And I think also, you know, this film would not have been the film it was without Flo and Andy. Let's call them Flo and Andy, because I'm acting like I had tea with them yesterday. But Andrew Garfield, his mother passed away, you know, I believe some years ago, and she was terminally ill as well. And I think he used a lot of his personal experiences in channeling his role in this film. And you can really tell, because it is really, really very grounded in that experience. It's not overly, you know, it's not glamorizing the process. It's not making it what it's not. It was a very realistic kind of portrayal of what terminal illness really looks like. So I thought it was really wonderful. So yeah, let me know what you guys think under this video. If you've got any comments on this film, I really thought it was wonderful. I loved it. I mean, I'm a personal lover of both Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. I think they are absolutely fantastic, and I thought this film was so refreshing, and I really wish more people saw this. I wish it had more traction, and kind of think it's criminal that there was just no acting awards that were given out there. I mean, I really thought at least Florence Pugh was going to get in there with some sort of nomination during award season, but she didn't, unfortunately. But I thought it was really fantastic. So let me know what you guys think of this film, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I would love to hear what you would love to see, any discourse you'd like me to bring up with any particular films, and I will see you in my next video. Ciao.